Welcome into SWOSUathletics.com. I'm John Liddle with a football preview for 2014. We're going to be joined by Devin Benton, defensive tackle for the Bulldogs, in a few minutes, along with wide receiver Brad Smithey. But first of all, we've got Dan Cocannouer, head coach of the Bulldogs in his 6th year, joining us. Coach Cocannouer, last year, going into 2013, you talked about tired of being average. This year, 6 wins under your belt. What's the motivation? What are you using as motivation as you go into it?
Our motivation is to win the conference championship. I mean, we look back and evaluate as far as last year's films, and yeah, we ended up 6-5. But you take a look at that, we lost 2 games by 3. Could have been 8-3 right there. We take a look at a couple other games as far as that we had it. I felt like that we could have played a little bit better and had a chance to win that. So it comes down there. We could have won 8-9 ball games last year if things would have worked out right. So this year, our goal is that we want to win the conference championship. That's our main goal. We want to get in the conference where we can get in there, where we can go to a bowl game or get in the playoffs. And I mean, anything less than that's going to be disappointing to me, I'll tell you that. Absolutely.
And we talk about your offense. There are a lot of returning starters on that side of the ball, a lot of experience coming back. Let's talk about the guys that you don't have, because start with Ryan Corbin, because he was an All-American last year. He was a guy that the offense was really built around, and his presence out there just helped everything else flow. Does that mean the offense has to change completely this year, or what are you guys doing about that?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at our offense 2 years ago, I mean, we built it a little bit more around another player at that time. And so, that's one thing that's great about as far as what we do is that we're able, as far as take the guys that we feel like that are main key players, and let's put it around them. And this year, we don't know who it's going to be. I mean, it could be running back spot. It could be as far as Brad Smithey and that bunch out there as far as receiver spot. And, it's going to come down as far as a quarterback. But a guy like Ryan Corbin, you don't replace that guy. I mean, he was an All-American. He worked his butt off to get to that situation. You just hope you get someone in there that can kind of play a little bit like that and eventually get to that point. So, but, I mean, losing him, that was big. But I feel like that we got some other weapons on our team this year that I think will overcome that.
Well, and then the quarterback, Dustin Stennett, you're having to replace. And you had 3 guys really duking it out, that kind of stood ahead of the pack in the spring. What is it going to come down to in the fall? What do you see being as the deciding factor or factors when you're trying to decide who to put on the field in that first series at Harding?
Well, we can talk about arm strength, we can talk about running, all that part right there. But to me, the biggest key as far as our quarterback is that when he steps in a huddle, everybody believes that he's going to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that comes down to that, the respect that your other players, and you can see that as you go through practice. When they're doing 7-on-7, when they're doing inside, when they're doing team, you can look at that. I mean, as coaches, you see that what quarterback gets in there. When he gets in there, they all kind of perk up. I mean, because you watch that and you'll see that, because again, it comes down to those guys have got to believe in that person. But the thing is, that guy's got to perceive that he's a leader. He's got to get in there and show him that he's a guy, that he said, hey, put it on his shoulders and let's go. I mean, I feel like the guy that's going to be our quarterback this year needs to understand as far as our personnel, that we have. I mean, that he realized that we got a great group of guys around him. Now all he's got to do is that he's got to run the show. He's got to run the show. I mean, we're not asking him to be an All-American. If he turns into an All-American, that's great, but we're not asking him to be that way. We're asking a guy to come in there to get everybody believing that we're going to do. And every time we step on the court or the stadium, as far as on the turf, that we're going to score a touchdown and we're going to win a ball game. And I think that's a big key. I think when you talk about the offense, I think the way the guys perceive our quarterback is going to be a big key this year.
Talking with Dan Cocannouer, the head coach of the Bulldogs in his 6th year. And Coach, obviously you made a lot of hires, big hires right off the bat when you got here. But in the past 5 years, you hadn't had to make that real significant hire to a key position until this year, until this offseason when you hired Coach Gibson. Why did he stand out above the pack?
Well, I tell you, I had 80 guys apply for that position. I mean, when you place a guy like Coach Helton, that's tough. I mean, a guy that's been here for 28 years, it bleeds the blue. And I knew it was going to be a hard decision as far as what we did. But the thing is that we knew, and my main goal when it first came out, and I told Mr. Thurman and the rest of the coaches, I'm not going to rush into this. I didn't want to go out and just hire somebody, okay, we need someone now. Let's go out there. No, I wanted to make sure that we did this in a process where I could find the right person I felt like it could fit in as far as with me, with the other coaches, especially the players, and also this university. So, like I said, I had 80 applications that go for that, and I got it down to about 10, and then, I started looking at backgrounds and stuff like this, and then finally got it down to 5, and then finally I felt like I had it down to 3, and then one guy, there's no way that he could leave his position that he was at, so we got it down to 2. One was a head coach at another school. One was, and of course, Coach Gibson was a defensive coordinator at another one. And so, I brought him in and interviewed him. And I, after getting through interviewing with them the second time, I was real confused. I was having a hard time trying to figure out which one this is. So what I did is I called them both back. And at that time, I had Coach Helton, I had Coach Hayes, I had Coach Day, I had Coach Darby. They all came in there and sat in there in the interview with me, where we went through the stuff, where they get asked questions and understand that part right there. And then when we sat down, we spent a long time on the board talking about X's and O's as far as what they want to do. And then when it was done, I asked these guys. I believe in what they, that they understand as far as what the success we have. And I asked Coach Helton, and what they told me, I kind of was that way. It was a hard decision for me, but we just felt like that Coach Gibson, the things that he does as far as on the field, it's like, we know terminology is going to be a little different, but he does a lot of stuff that we do. And I told the players, we're not going to take a step back and have to start over on what we're doing. We want to we want to go forward. So I feel like this is our best move as far as for us to move on, as far as move forward on our program.
Well, Coach Cocannouer, we're about to talk to Brad Smithey and Devin Benton, 2 guys that have been big parts of your program, now entering their senior years. Starting with Devin, what has he meant to your program, Coach?
Big time. When people play us, they know that's the guy they got to stop. And as far as, and I've told him this many times before, I think, I've coached a lot of great football players, some that are in the NFL and everything, but I think as far as a pure football player, a guy that, his motor goes and, you just love watching play, he may be about as good as I've been around. I'm telling you that right now. Like we talked about, playing at other schools and stuff like that, if he was about 3 inches taller, I would never got to know him because he wouldn't be here, I promise you that. But he is an unbelievable athlete, and he's getting a lot of accolades as far as what's going through there. I was very excited that this year that, I'll tell you how far our program's come. Last year we had Ryan Corbin, the preseason All-American, and this year we got basically 4 guys who've been mentioned on some of these All-American deals. Brad Smithey's one, and Devin Benton, and also Devin's also preseason as far as first team All-Conference. So, I think he's going to be a dominant person in our conference. I think that he has a great chance of being that defensive player of the year, and what he goes, and when he steps it up, it makes everybody else to play. And I told him that in the springtime. I said, you don't get to see it, but I do. When you're out there and you're going 100 miles, it makes everybody else pick up the speed and everything. So he's big time help for us and a big plus for our program as far as move on.
Well, as far as Brad goes, he's been, very, very reliable for you since you started to put him in there as a freshman. What kind of year do you think he can have, especially, not as many balls going to Ryan Corbin because he's not here, and the offense really has been built around getting the ball to inside receivers.
Right.
What kind of year do you think he can have?
Well, you figure, 2 years ago, Bruce Hatton, I think he led the conference in receptions. And then, so, every year we've had a person that's been kind of that way on that part. But I think Brad just brings experience. I think he brings experience as far as what it takes to win. He gets banged up, as you know what, but he's tougher than nails. And I know last year he got KO'd on one play and wanted to go back in, and they wouldn't let him. And if I had a helmet, I would have let him, but that's just me. But the thing is that I just think that a lot of things he brings as far as a lot of leadership as far as on the offensive side. A quarterback, especially a new one you put in the program, they want to make sure they have a guy they can go to. And, I know last year Ryan was kind of that go-to guy, and the year before we had a couple there. And I really think that as far as what Brad does, that he has the capability of being that guy where whoever's playing quarterback will say, okay, I got to get the ball in the person's hand. Now I know they can make the play. And we got some other guys making plays too, don't get me wrong. But, he's got that capability to be that guy. Hey, we need a first down, let's get to Brad.
Well, Coach Cocannouer, we appreciate your time very much, sir.
Appreciate you, John.
Best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here with Brad Smithey, SWOSU receiver. Going into your senior year now, Brad, and for the first time you really get to play a complete season with a different quarterback other than Dustin Stennett, basically. Did you get a good sense of how things were going to work in this offense, not only with not having Dustin there, but also, no Ryan Corbin to kind of have the defense attack while you run wide open. So, how does that work for Brad Smithey this year?
Oh, just going back to the quarterback thing, when starting over, it's kind of brought us back to the basis of what we were trying to do. So I kind of think it's helped a lot of us kind of get back into what we're trying to accomplish as an offense. So I'm not really worried about the new quarterback. Like I said, we got, 9 returning starters, something like that. So we got the pieces around him, and it'll be just our job to help him out. He shouldn't just come in and do his job. And I'm just going to try to do what I can do, get open, catch the ball, and try to finish plays.
Well, and I know it's really big for you to have a big senior season. Everybody wants to have that great year. What does a great year look like for you? Do you think in terms of numbers? Do you think in terms of wins? Do you think in terms of overall offensive production? What comes in your mind?
Man, the only thing that would make this season just, a big accomplishment, of course, is win the championship, the GAC championship. Just because, I came here 5 years ago, really, or I guess 4, but coming into my 5th year here. And, Coach Cocannouer, he can tell you that talent level wasn't there. It wasn't that great competitively, but every year we've seen it get much better and much better. And like you saw last year, what we could have been, we easily could have been 8-3. We should have been playing in that bowl game, but a few plays here and there, and everything changes. So the big part for me my senior year would be, like I said, win games. All the accolades will come if you win. I have no doubt about that. So biggest thing is just win.
You hear the NFL guys talk, and a lot of times, especially when they're wily old veterans, they talk about camp becoming a grind. I've done this before. You're about to enter that fall camp, and it's still going to be really hot in western Oklahoma, and you guys are going to have 2-a-days sometimes, things like that. Does it get to be a grind for you as you go on further in your career? Is it still a time that you enjoy to try to get better?
Last year I'd say it was more of a grind, but this year I've kind of taken an approach. It could be the last time I ever do anything like it, so why not enjoy it? So, going into camp, I'm just going to go with the mindset, try to help these young kids out, and try to help lead this team to win.
SWOSU senior defensive lineman Devin Benton is with us, and we appreciate your time, man. Been talking to you since your freshman year. You've been really a target of opponents probably since your sophomore year after you had a really productive freshman year. How have you dealt with that? It's got to be tough taking those double and triple teams every single play.
Well, it doesn't matter. I just got to go out and play football at the end of the day. I can only control what I can do. So whenever anybody game plans against me or whatever, I just do whatever the coach tells me to or whatever I feel at the time is the right thing to do. And, like I said, I can't control what the offense does. I just got to play my game.
Well, as far as personal improvement goes then, things you can control, where do you think you're better, as you go into your senior year than you were, let's go back to that sophomore year after that really good freshman campaign?
Well, obviously I gotten a lot smarter because, of course we get smarter every day, but as far as like my physical ability, that as well, I'm trying to just take it to the top and just the furthest I can take it before I get in the season. I want to be faster, stronger. I want to be more explosive in every sense of it. So as far as physically goes, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't miss a day of doing anything. I can make sure I exceed and excel past where I was then.
Well, you're so physically gifted anyway, just that God-given physique, I guess, that you can put on muscle, I suppose. But what challenges you, what do you have to do to, take that to the next level like you're talking about? Because, you're already strong. Maybe you're already the strongest guy on the team, but you want to get even stronger. How do you do that? Is that just more reps? Do you have to?
Oh no,
do you have to trick your body? What's going on here?
Oh no, that's strength without limits. I can't be complacent at all. Because I think carelessness kills and complacency is murder. So if I sit here today and just think, oh, I had an okay year last year, and I can do this much on the bench press or the squat or the clean, no, it's never done. You're never done. And as long as I can keep getting those numbers up, then I can continue to improve it every day, whether it's running faster 40 or, faster 10, whatever, whatever it is. As long as I can keep excelling, then I think I'm going to finally start getting better. But I'm never going to be the best I can be until, I'm just through, until I can't go no more,
I know that especially at this time of year, there's very limited contact going into camp, almost no contact with coaches or anything like that. So you've got a new defensive coordinator, but you really can't get with him. One thing that Coach Gibson did talk about with me, though, was how he likes having athletic guys on the defensive line. He doesn't like, as he said, I don't like having 2 fat guys, and then, he wants athletic guys at defensive tackle.
Yes, sir.
You definitely fit that bill. Does that excite you to hear, something like that from him?
Oh yeah, and the way that they got us kind of doing it this year, it looks I'm not used to it at all. What they're going to bring in, so I'm completely excited about it because it's like they're just like cutting us loose everywhere at every position. I'm talking from the nose guard out. I mean, we even got whole new names for it all. So it's like, as far as terminology goes, of course it's different, but as far as playing football, I'm not used to, that part being a different, a completely different thing as well. So it'll be fun. But yeah, the way he got us, the way he's telling us that we're going to play, I don't think too big a guy could do it, to be honest.
I understand. Well, we were talking with Brad a little bit earlier about, being a veteran and maybe getting a little bit tired during those off-season or, the fall camp or whatever. So it's something like that, having, whole different things to think about and learn. Is that going to help keep it new for you once you do hit fall camp here?
Oh, yes, sir, of course, yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's just a part of it, the off-season and all that. That's just something that come with it. You just got to do that, And for me, it's like, as long as I'm playing football, I don't really I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a big school guy and everything like that. But as long as I'm playing football, I'm completely at home and I'm the happiest dude ever.
Well, we're really happy to have you here in Weatherford.
Yes, sir.
We've enjoyed watching you, and we're going to enjoy watching you for however many games it ends up being this year, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. That is Devin Benton. Thanks also to Brad Smithey and Coach Dan Cocannouer for joining us here on SWOSUathletics.com.